This is Unemployment World Domination Edition, and Doom has finally created a economy for his country with his minions. He um, he told them basically to he forced them to work in a open market capitalist society. So now he has a domestic economy, but it's not doing so well. He's having some issues, and we'll get into that on the next slide. So he's got basically all the types of unemployment. So, some of his minions they have cyclical unemployment, so they're they work as uh, they work in the Christmas tree business, but they're only able to sell Christmas trees and, around Christmas time, so they're kind of put out of business after that. He's got frictional unemployment, which that's actually a good one because that means some of his minions are actually progressing. They might be getting an education and trying to get a better job, but right now they're unemployed just because they're trying to find a new job. He's also got structural unemployment in his country, which is just it's the unemployment that they can't help. The minions can't help it. It is the general economy basically screwing them over. Um, and then there's technological unemployment, um, and they also have that. So unemployment equals unemployed divided by employed times 100. Um, but the type of unemployment that we're going to be focusing on right now is structural unemployment because that is basically all the graphs are. And what is this graph? This is a Phillips curve. So you see there it has a long run Phillips curve and a short run Phillips curve. Um, the x-axis is inflation, or the x-axis is unemployment. The y-axis is inflation, and basically, um, the less unemployment, the higher the inflation. The more unemployment, the lower the inflation. And um, the normal unemployment rate, the steady one at the long run Phillips curve, is 5%, as you can see, and the perfect inflation is also 5%. So this shows a real growth. No, this actually shows, sorry. This shows a um, a boom, basically, where the unemployment goes down, but the inflation goes way up. Sorry, I had a brain fart there. And basically, the way that correlates is it's kind of opposite, but it makes sense because the x-axis of a aggregate demand um, is employment, and the x-axis of a Phillips curve is unemployment. It it seems opposite, but it really is the way it correlates. So you can see the inflation going up on both, and the unemployment on the Phillips curve down, and the employment on the aggregate demand, aggregate supply graph up. Um, this shows a recession. So you can see the employment is down, the inflation is down, and then on the long run Phillips curve, the unemployment is up. So of course, employment down, unemployment up. That's usually what that means, and the inflation is down. So that's how those correlate. Um, but with a aggregate supply curve, that actually shifts the entire short run Phillips curve itself. It doesn't just shift along the line. So here, this is stagflation. This is worst case scenario. So this means, inflation going up and employment going down. So you can see here the unemployment is actually staying the same, but the inflation is going up. And that's how those correlate. And you got here the opposite. You have real growth. The aggregate supply is shifting to the right on the aggregate supply and demand curve, and the Phillips curve, the short run Phillips curve, is shifting to the left. So employment is going up, inflation is going down. On the Phillips curve, inflation is also going down, and unemployment is staying the same. Okay, so now to explain the correlation between all three of them. So this is a recession, so that means it's in the green light of the possibilities production curve. The aggregate demand is shifted to the left, and then the dot is to the right side because the unemployment is high and the inflation is low. And then we got the opposite here. We have the red light for the possibility production curve. The aggregate demand is shifted to the right, and the long run or the short run Phillips curve, the dot is to the left. So